I have to say, I love your show Upload. It gets better every season. Now, for
Thank you.
season three, how did playing two Nathans make filming an extra challenge?
It was really fun. I'm so lucky on this show to have Greg Daniels and Owen Daniels, his son, who also plays AI guy,
Mhm.
and Maxwell and our whole writing team. They're so good. And from the get go, I was really lucky that Nathan is very very similar to my own voice, and I it's just a very natural character for me to play. So two versions of him is fine. It's just kind of like two versions of myself. And I spoke with Greg a little bit about it before, and I was like, what do we think? Is this just Nathan 6 months ago, or is this a different version of him? And he was like, well, I think she's probably rebooted you of several times until one of them sticks with Ingrid. So I was like, okay, so let's have a little fun with it. Let's make the one that sticks be like, kind of a little bit weirder, a little bit goofier, a little bit more lighthearted. And it'll be a nice contrast to, the Nathan in the real world who's like dealing with trying to find his murderer and wondering if his head's going to explode, and dealing with like election fraud. And I was like, it'll be nice to have those two different versions where one of me is kind of dark and the other one is aloof and just kind of enjoying his time in Lakeview. So it was very cool. The process of shooting it was pretty wild. I would have to do a scene with an acting double who they hired, and I would work with and kind of tell him how I would play both sides of the character, and he was very good. And then he would walk off and I would do one to nobody, and then I would change clothes, I would turn around, I would put an earpiece in, and I would act to nobody, but I would hear myself so that I could get the timing right off of my own reactions. And then I just would hope and pray that it was going to work out. And luckily, it turned out okay.
It turned out great. Now, because of
Thank
all
you.
the AI in the show, you must have to use your imagination a lot. What's the most difficult or most fun AI that you need to pretend is happening, like that phone or when the guy is pulling your ear and it stretches way out?
I think kind of luckily for me is since the beginning of my career, I've had these kind of visual effects heavy projects, and it's kind of become second nature. But it's fun to try and find ways to do things like in the finale where I jump kick the guy who pulls my ear and carries me away. I was like, how are you guys going to do this? I can't jump kick a guy. And so they put a like a green wall, and I would run and jump kick it, and then they were like, we're just going to put him in and he's barely flinches and you just fall to the ground. I'm like, that's awesome. That's going to be super fun. So I just run and jump kick a wall, and then they cut, and the next scene is him pulling my ear, and he's about that far from my ear, and they're like, just keep up with him and pretend your ear's being pulled. So, it's all very fun stuff. Luckily there's not a ton of like heavy green screen. We only had about 2 days, which was the one of the days where I'm dancing with myself, and one of the days where we're like walking through the gray zone, me and other me. But those days they're tough when it's just total fluorescent green screen, 360 degrees around you. It takes its toll on everyone. The crew is kind of unhappy. It's just a weird place to spend 12 hours in a day. But luckily, we have such great production designers and set designers that a lot of it is practical and just rooms that have been built to look very cool.
I'm so glad you explained how that jump kick was done because I watched and I thought that had to have been like a stunt double. But no, it was you.
No, I run, and so they were like, "You're supposed to kick him in the chest," and I was like, "I think it'd be funny if I kicked him in the face." And they were like, "You think you can kick that high?" I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Okay, that's where his face will be." And I'm like, "Okay." And I just ran and kicked up where his face would be, and everybody was laughing. I'm like, "Great." I'm like, kicking the face is funnier for him not to even flinch than like the chest. So it was really cool.
It was really funny.
Thank you.
You also have a Christmas movie coming up on Prime called Xmas. Can you set up the premise for that?
Yeah, I play Graham, who is a video game designer, and the opening of the movie is a montage of my girlfriend and I falling in love and getting engaged and falling out of love and breaking up. And then you quickly find out that I am probably not over her and I'm a little depressed, but I won't admit that. But I'm not coming home to see my family for Christmas. And then I realized that I should definitely go see my family because things are not great to be alone. And I arrive to surprise them. And lo and behold, my ex fiance, Allie, is already there. And it turns out they stayed friends with her and they invited her. And I'm like, this is crazy. She can't stay. And my parents are like, no, we're not going to kick her out. You guys have to figure it out. And it becomes a Graham versus Allie fight for who gets to keep the family, and maybe we're gonna fall back in love while we do it, or maybe we're gonna rip each other's heads off.
That sounds great, actually. Um,
It's very charming.
where did you film it?
Kelowna in June, so not a great time to be running around in Christmas sweaters, but still a beautiful place to be.
And who's in it with you?
Kathy Green. Oh my goodness, her last name is Greenwood. I'm almost positive, but I hope I'm not screwing up her last name. She's very, very, very funny. Canadian actress. She's from Whose Line Is It Anyway, and a ton of other things. And Michael Hitchcock, who is very funny. He's from the Eugene Levy improv movies like Best in Show. Leighton Meester plays Allie, my love interest. Veronica Stephen. It's a fully Canadian cast, almost fully Canadian cast. And it's just a blast. Really, really, really talented people who cracked me up the whole time.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait to see that. I want to thank you so much for chatting with me today about these two new projects. And it's just so great to talk to you again.
Thanks. You too. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, or if you're returning and you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, tap it now, plus the notification bell in the right-hand corner so that you make sure you don't miss out on any new celebrity interviews. While you're at it, hit the like button and tell me below in the comments, who's your favorite star? Who would you like to see me interview next? I'd love to hear from you.